map out 36,000 acres of the seafloor, and they found 27,000 barrel-shaped objects sitting 3,000 feet deep. About a third of them now have white rings forming around them, and research...
Show us your identification!
Most people think that fasting is about weight loss, but spoiler alert, it's not. But what actually happens?
Guess how long you have to work in these countries to afford an iPhone 17?
I mean, not only did America come in second place just behind Norway in total medals, more American women won medals than the American men. Just talk about what that experience was like and how proud you are of your fellow athletes.
IE stands for IT. Breaking news as we are learning now that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has briefed the Senate gain of 8. And
Excited to be going to the White House and meeting Trump?
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, anytime.
Even if the White House off... I have never... Japanese...
the Washington
You spent a while.
The Washington Free Beacon is reporting that Iran is preparing biological and chemical.
You spent a lot of time thinking about the right of the Jewish people to their...
How do you know?
ឈឺចាប់មួយចំនួនធំមានឬគល់ចេញមកពីការជាប់ជាពាក់កម្មសិទ្ធិយើងអាចហៅថាជាប់សេចក្តីប្រកាន់កាន់សេចក្តីកាន់ពាក្យពេចន៍កាន់សាច់រឿង
How do you know if a scientist is bought by Israel? Well, you show him two identical...
The true American dream is outside of America. That's the saying. The true American dream is to make your money in the West and spend it on the continent.
Yeah.
That's what they say. The quality of life here, if you have money, you can imagine any life that you want.
Yeah.
Which comes there's an analysis that can happen that for people who are much smarter than me around Nigerian politics and everything. Around all the ways that is detrimental to people who are multi-generationally impoverished in Nigeria. But when you have U.S.
Breaking news.
Guys, this is the oldest water we've ever discovered. It was found back in 2013 when geologists discovered a fracture in a mine in this town, Timmins, in Ontario, Canada. The waters...
Not gonna lie, guys, this one really confused me at first. Question marks in Europe? Why does Germany get the question mark? But we're talking about how different languages propose a question and the different ways you can format that. Now, my Spanish speakers are gonna know this one. In English, we put the question mark just at the end of the sentence. But in Spanish, you put it at the end of the sentence and in the beginning of the sentence, and you put it upside down. Why? I don't know. But I do gotta say it is kind of nice when reading a Spanish text.
OpenAI has admitted that they're actually scanning users' ChatGPT conversations and reporting it to the authorities. This is a big topic, and I don't know the right answer to this. There's obviously a lot of really bad people in the world, and they're probably having...
Before they take you to the city and they put you into a security house.
So now you're telling me
U.S. President Donald Trump is discussing a limited military strike on Iran in the coming days, aiming to pressure Tehran into accepting stricter.
On February 12th, I told you guys that model distillation wars were coming. And it just went nuclear.
All right, so a new report came out yesterday. The amount of equipment the U.S.
Donald Trump says that
The loan was agreed by 27 heads of state and government in the European Council. They have given their word. This word cannot be broken.
Good news for Americans in 2035. The United
This is 4 years of failure for Putin. This was a war he thought he'd win in a week. He's lost more than 1 million men during that time. And Russia has been fighting Ukraine for longer than the Soviet Union was fighting Germany during the Second World War. And today, 4 years on, Ukrainians are fighting with just the same courage, just the same defiance. And our job,
So Tucker, Carl.
A hatch opened, and this...
Breaking news. Soldiers on the Gerald Ford aircraft...
We can't defend against...
So in a not-so-subtle flex, the U.S. Air Force... Israel attacked
Iran, and the Iranians responded by sending a wave of drones. It was something like 600 drones. The Iranians warned the Israelis in advance that the drones were coming, but they had to save face because they had been attacked. Well,
You could use street food. Here's why I'm going to buy it.
They say around half of businesses fail. And from what I've seen, a big reason why is mindset.
There have been so many bad news right now.
How many nuclear weapons does Iran have as of today?
Right now, I hope none.
What if I told you nothing?
This volcano that
This is horrible for our planet.
It's a video of that white professor talking about black people.
This is cold water pressure.
9 out of 10 people cannot explain how these perfectly spherical objects.
Prime Minister Netanyahu just flew here to meet President Trump. Reportedly.
We have breaking news right now. Donald Trump's former senior advisor, Steve.
The rental market right now.
I don't care about Elon Musk's Canadian citizenship, but I am curious to find out how many members in Congress and senator who has Israeli citizenship. It's mind-boggling that that's not an information you need to disclose. Anyway, there's no one to know exactly how many.
Your state has been the focus of the Trump-Vance campaign during 2024 and of their administration now, particularly the Haitians that you have, tens of thousands in the state of Ohio. You said this week ICE has not been.
The UK has refused to allow the US to use its bases for a possible strike on Iran. RAF Fairford and the island of Diego Garcia are the same bases from which major US Middle East operations were launched in the past. But this time, London said no. That means if Washington attacks, it would have to operate from ships and distant bases, increasing time, cost, and risk, and making a rapid strike harder. This comes as the US demands Iran limit uranium.
One of the most famous quotes in philosophy is also one of the most misunderstood. To be fair, it comes from Hegel, and even Hegel admitted that no one really understood him. This is how it goes.
You've probably seen this.
Everybody is lying to you about OpenClaw. As you can see here, this is my setup. It is 4 days.
I am so sorry.
We need to increase pressure on Russia.
What is the American?
Google suspend.
សួស្តីពីយើង
Wow Gen Z ជប៉ុនលែងចង់ផឹកស្រាមិនមែនមកពីគេមានបញ្ហាសុខភាពឬក៏គេផឹកមិនបានទេតែគឺមកពីគេអត់ចង់ផឹក Gen Z នៅជប៉ុន FedEx is suing the US government
你敢信全球最牛的 AI 公司 OpenAI 居然快要破产了这哥们儿一个季度就亏了120亿美金2027年可能
If you're learning to code with AI right now, you might be closer to opportunity than you think. Just 5 years ago.
how does this Epstein stuff not
គាត់សរសេរទៀតណាថាបើសិនជាយោងតាមទស្សនៈផ្លូវច្បាប់ការឆបោកតាមអនឡាញនឹងត្រូវចាត់ថ្នាក់
Guyana is so unique, it feels like it's on the wrong continent. It's the only English-speaking country in South America. Sitting on the continent's northern edge, it's squeezed between Venezuela, Suriname, and Brazil, with the Atlantic Ocean crashing along its coast. But here's the weird part. It doesn't feel South American at all. It feels Caribbean. They play cricket, not soccer. The food, music, and culture, pure island vibes. The country is huge, about 83,000 square miles, almost the size of Idaho, yet only 800,000 people live there. Why? Because most of it is straight up Amazon rainforest. Nearly 90% of the population hugs one thin coastal strip, and the rest is just wild jungle. But then everything changed overnight. In 2015, they discovered massive offshore oil, and now ExxonMobil is drilling billions of barrels. Guyana went from one of the poorest nations in the region to potentially one of the richest almost instantly. And hidden deep in that rainforest, Kayatir Falls, a single drop waterfall 5 times taller than Niagara Falls. No crowds, no fences, just raw nature. Most people don't even know it exists. And the people? It's one of the most diverse places on Earth. African, Indian, indigenous.
Here's the scenario nobody wants to say out loud. If Iran activates its proxies, the Houthis resume attacking ships in the Red Sea. Now you've got Hormuz in the Bab Madab choked off.
I've never seen a successful person in I've never seen a successful
Guys, it is now officially only 4 days away. Everybody is going to be able to see this whenever it happens. But do you know
How am I supposed to stay in one place when Booking.com makes it so easy to book a trip? All it takes is one.
So
The U.S. isn't preparing for a quick hit on Iran. It's preparing for something much bigger. Reports say the Pentagon is ready for operations that could last weeks, not hours. And that's why aircraft carriers, destroyers, and fighter jets are moving closer. If America launches the first wave, it won't be random. The first targets would be Iran's radar, missile systems, air defenses, and command centers. The goal would be simple: blind Iran before Iran can respond. But Iran wouldn't stay quiet. Within minutes, Iran could launch drones and missiles toward U.S. bases across the Middle East, in places like Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq, and the Gulf. And if even one major base gets hit, the situation instantly escalates. Now here's the part people don't understand. This wouldn't stay between the U.S. and Iran, because once Iran is under pressure, the region becomes a chain reaction. Oil routes get threatened, ships in the Strait of Hormuz go on alert, fuel prices jump overnight, markets panic, and if the conflict drags on for weeks, this doesn't look like a strike anymore. This starts looking like a full-scale regional war, and the scariest part, all it takes is one order. The U.S. isn't preparing for a quick hit on Iran. It's preparing for something much.
Trump just told the Pentagon, be ready. We are officially on our countdown. Word from the White House is that he's considering a formal declaration of war against Iran as early as this weekend. At this moment, the world isn't just watching, it's picking sides. In Tehran, state TV has just announced full combat readiness. They're moving mobile missile launchers to the coast right now. But here's the real trigger. The Geneva talks just collapsed. Diplomats spent days in Switzerland trying to bridge the gap on nuclear missiles, but they hit a brick wall. Trump's response? No more talking. In Israel, Netanyahu.
Let's start with the biggest name.
If you were worried about AI taking your job, I have 6 career paths that I would recommend getting into right now. My name is Chris, and I talk about leaving your corporate job and AI. The first career I would ever try to get into is the trades. These are super resistant against AI right now, especially over the next 10 years, and they are in much demand. If you look at franchising as an industry, the top selling franchises are home service brands, plumbing, roofing, restoration, whatever it might be. Those aren't going anywhere.
This Kentucky man is behind bars after police said he had sexual intercourse with a dead deer. So the man.
2 things are stopped.
Trump just moved the world's most powerful.
The United States reportedly lost a surveillance drone yesterday while it was heading toward Iran for a reconnaissance mission. The drone disappeared in the southern part of the country, and U.S. officials have not yet clarified whether the incident was caused by a technical malfunction or mechanical failure. It also remains uncertain whether Iranian forces shot it down, although some reports suggest there is a strong possibility that it may have been intercepted.
Treating China's preparation to attack Taiwan as someone else's problem could be the greatest strategic mistake small nations make.
Iran is nearing a deal to buy Chinese CM-302 supersonic missiles, and this is not something I want to talk about, but we have.
It looks like Chinese.
The world order is shifting, and it would.
China could be. There's really one scenario in which.
It looks like Chinese surveillance.
Hey, look at this Iranian cargo ship we've been tracking as it travels from a Chinese surveillance.
President Trump is reportedly frustrated as he weighs what to do on Iran. And there are 3 new developments happening that are turning up the heat. First, there is U.S. military force projection, and the Navy's most advanced aircraft carrier, this is the USS Gerald R. Ford, has now been seen in Greece at Suda Bay in Crete. And this is a key U.S. forward.
Is Chinese delivery.
Do not think the U.S.
Treating China.
Is China a superpower? Yes. Is Russia a superpower? Yes. What makes us different?
Right now, Russia, China, and Iran.
It feels insane that America.
ថ្ងៃមុខទៅខ្ញុំមានកូនពាក្យដែលខ្ញុំមិនប្រើគឺពាក្យហើយមើលកូនគេហើយមើលគេខ្លាំងលោកប្រាក់សុខុនបើបងស្នេហ៍រដ្ឋមន្ត្រី
55% of Americans say President Trump is changing the country for the worse. That includes 64% of independents. Tam, what stands out to you in these numbers?
President Trump he relied on independents to win, and he is losing them, which is going to be a problem in the midterms. And I think the other thing that broadly stands out from the poll is just people are upset.
there's a lot of discontent about the state of the country, the direction of the country, the viability of American democracy, and there is still huge polarization. If you look under the hood of these numbers, it really. However, independents now.
And Jasmine, another thing that stands out in this poll, 53% of respondents say President Trump's
Watch this. We were hearing this week that Iran is just weeks away from building a nuclear weapon.
Good morning, sir.
This man shows just how tough young people growing up in Africa can be. When he stopped in a small village, he noticed his tires were completely covered in sharp thorns from wild plants. Honestly, this video is a reminder of how the human body can naturally adapt to different environments.
Why is Iran literally burying its nuclear bunkers with dirt? Deep inside the mountains of Isfahan, truckload after truckload of soil is being dumped over tunnel entrances. The reason is a direct response to the B-2 Spirit and its 30,000-pound monster, the GBU-57 Bunker Buster. This weapon can punch through 60 meters of reinforced concrete like it's paper. But Iranian engineers discovered a low-tech solution to this high-tech threat. While concrete can crack under the massive kinetic shock of a bunker buster, deep natural stone and compacted earth act as a giant shock absorber. By burying entrances under hundreds of meters of mountain rock and added debris, they ensure the blast energy dissipates before it ever reaches the core halls. This dirt shield makes a precision strike nearly impossible. To reach the target,
Backwards. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst.
how do I sleep? What?
Let's talk about Iran. What are the risks?
Well, the risks of a wider regional conflict are extremely high. The risks of spending billions of taxpayer dollars on more endless conflict are almost certain for this president. This president doesn't see a problem that he doesn't think he can bomb his way out of. 7 different countries bombed alone. Americans are pretty fed up and tired with endless military adventurism. Donald Trump campaigned as an isolationist, and he's governing as an interventionist and an imperialist, right? Americans want affordable housing. They want affordable health care. They want their groceries to actually be affordable so they can support their families. And this president is just going to war and conflict after conflict after conflict.
Let's talk about
U.S. military intervention in Mexico just became inevitable. Mexico's
Thailand's foreign minister Sihasa Pongkekkyal says that Thailand
Iran's secret weapon.
This is what Jeff ថ្ងៃនេះទទួលបានដំណឹងមិនល្អទៀតហើយនៅតំបន់ព្រំដែនដោយ
I have a friend, former 2 miles, the close in support.
How is it possible to shatter a potato chip from a distance?
Hi guys, I'm here to. If you took every.
Why do you have to attack Iran? Well, Iran is an authoritarian country and we have to liberate their people. But Iran is not the only authoritarian country. In fact, you support over 70% of all dictatorships in the world. Well, we need to put a stop to their nuclear program. But didn't you say that you have completely destroyed the Iranian nuclear program? And if anybody said otherwise, it's just fake news? Well, we need to put a stop to their ballistic missile program. But Iran must have a right to defend itself somehow, so I don't understand why you... Okay, because Israel wants it. Oh. Why do you have...
What would happen if the U.S. Navy suddenly attacked Iran today? At first glance, Iran does not look strong enough to stop such an attack. Iran's Navy and Air Force are much weaker compared to the United States. Its Navy mostly uses old submarines from the Soviet era, a small number of warships, and 1 drone carrier. Its Air Force depends on older fighter jets like the F-4 Phantom and MiG-29. Because of this, Iran appears easy to defeat in a direct fight. But the full story is not that simple. The U.S. Navy force moving toward Iran would be extremely powerful. It would likely include one of America's strongest aircraft carriers, the USS Abraham Lincoln. This carrier can carry around 70 to 80 aircraft, such as F-18 fighter jets, F-35 stealth jets, electronic warfare planes, radar aircraft, and military helicopters. Along with the carrier, several U.S. destroyers would also be present, including the USS Frank E. Peterson Jr., USS Spruance, and USS Michael Murphy. These ships are equipped with advanced missiles and strong air defense systems. Compared to Iran's Navy and Air Force, this force is far more advanced and powerful. However, Iran's real strength is not its ships or planes. Over the last 10 years, Iran has focused on other weapons. It has built a large supply of missiles, developed large numbers of low-cost drones, and supported armed groups across the region. These tools allow Iran to strike back in different ways, even when facing a much stronger military. That is what makes Iran a dangerous opponent, even against the overwhelming power of the U.S. Navy. What would happen if
They know Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only reason they're comfortable attacking them. Because they know Iran cannot attack back with nuclear weaponry. And they arrogantly thought their Iron Dome was going to protect them. But it literally collapsed within 24 hours. A lot of people may have seen earlier videos where a whole bunch of Iran's weapons were being intercepted by the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, by the way, actually shoots a missile up to intercept and blow up other missiles. But what they didn't get is that Iran was intentionally sending old missiles to wear out, to use up the defense. And once they felt like they had sufficiently worn down the defenses of the Iron Dome, then they started unleashing the heavy-duty stuff. And Iran has hypersonic missiles. And I don't know if you've seen one of those on video. It is insane how fast they come in. You're not getting out of the way of a hypersonic missile. You may be able to see some other type of missile up in the air, heading your way, you run for the hills. You're not running from a hypersonic missile. As fast as you see it, it's there. It travels faster than the speed of sound. So it hits you before you even hear it coming. They've also unleashed a new type of weaponry that we've never even seen before. Hey Siri, how many missiles does Iran have? It's going to be in the thousands.
The entire world is a lie. And most people?
This is the cheapest plane in the world, priced even lower than a luxury car. Meet the Cirrus Vision Jet SF-50, the smallest personal jet in the world. Despite its tiny size, it can comfortably carry one pilot and 6 passengers and travel non-stop up to 1,224 kilometers. This little jet can climb up to 41,000 feet and take off from a runway as short as 300 meters. Now here's the craziest part. It has a full jet parachute system.
Iran says it can sink a U.S. How many hypersonic missiles?
Australia, you're about to see a whole lot more Trump. Donald's eldest son, Eric. Australia, you're about to see a whole lot more Trump. Donald's eldest son, Eric, has just announced on X that they will be soon constructing the tallest building in the entire country, called the Trump International Hotel and Tower Gold Coast. Schoolie's about to go crazy here. And not only will the skyscraper be about 335 meters tall with 91 stories, but it will cost more than $1 billion US. It will come with 500. Australia, you're about to see a whole lot more Trump. Donald's eldest son, Eric, has just announced on X that they will be soon constructing the tallest building in the entire country, called the Trump International Hotel and Tower Gold Coast. Schoolie's about to go crazy here. And not only will the skyscraper be about 335 meters tall with 91 stories, but it will cost more than $1 billion US. It will come with 500.
Iran now they're all been pushed here.
No. If you want. So this is breaking news. I want you to guess the.
ពេលកាំងប្រើគ្រឹះមធ្យោបាយដើម្បីយកកោះតៃវ៉ាន់មិនថាត្រូវប្រើនយោបាយត្រជាក់ឬក៏នយោបាយក្តៅថ្លែងនៅក្នុងសន្និសីទការងារប្រចាំ
Israel wants to use
នេះគឺជាម៉ាស៊ីន
តាមអ្វីដែលជាការថ្លែងសាររបស់ខាងយោធាថៃទៅ